Look what came in the mail. Testing audio. Bow. Let me see. You're blocking the camera. Oh. Hi. I'm trying out this mic, but I also feel like it's not a very good mic. So if you guys have recommendations, let me know. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with this video because I had first filmed making a neon sign with it, but then the content ended up being like very sponsorshipy, and I didn't want to just make a dedicated video that's trying to sell this one product to you guys. So I think what we'll do today is pack Patreon and just talk a little bit more about how to get sponsorships, although I'm not an expert in that at all. Like, I'll kind of just talk about naturally how this neon sign sponsorship happened, how other sponsorships have happened for me, and then maybe the reverse of how to reach out to companies if you want to work with them. And we could just make it casual, and then we can get into the actual like behind the scenes of the sign. That was filmed a hot minute ago, so my hair is different from how it is now. I got a haircut. What do you think? If you're new here, I'm Ange, also known as Pikarar. I make digital artwork that also translates into product design. So I've done apparel, home goods, I've done stationery, lots of different mediums. So for example, this neon sign is actually my first neon sign ever, but I feel like my artwork translates well into neon signs too, just because of my line art. It's very clean. I also have a Patreon where every month I send out a couple of stickers and a print, and every print and sticker is different per month. I choose a different theme, and so this month's theme is this painting that I made. Half of it is digital, half of it is actually acrylic paint, and it comes with a matching sticker as well. So getting into sponsorships. What is a sponsorship and what do I mean by that? It's a partnership between a creator, so someone like myself, or an artist, and that relationship with another brand. And typically the brand is asking you to promote their products or a service in exchange for compensation. Compensation could look like money, it could look like quote-unquote exposure. It could be a lot of different things, not just money. Specifically for this neon sign Lamomo, they were offering me a free sign for exposure, and I negotiated on top of this. So I asked for money compensation as well as royalties, and they agreed. Not every company is going to agree with your terms. You might have to negotiate a bit more. They might reject it and say like, hey, actually we're only looking to give you a free product, and instead here's some exposure. So it just depends per company. Sometimes what I'll do is if a company doesn't offer money, I might ask for maybe like double the product, or maybe we can host like a giveaway or a different set of products that they have. It also depends on what you think your worth is. So sometimes I will just take the product because I think that one, the product is beneficial to me. Two, I think this company is worth just getting exposure for. And maybe three, I don't feel like making a video and getting like, I don't know, like $50 from this video is worth my time. And so I'll just take the product. Other times I may feel like the product itself isn't good enough for my time, and so money compensation would do best. So then I will negotiate for money compensation. Sometimes you will get rejected. Sometimes they will agree with your terms. And that's okay. That's just part of negotiating, and you start to get used to the rejections. You also get surprised by the number of companies that actually agree with your terms. So I would say always shoot your shot. Another question that I get from people is, how do you find sponsors? So this is a question that I may not be the best person to ask. Historically for me, I have already had an art portfolio on Instagram. I have videos on TikTok and YouTube. And so companies find my work and they reach out themselves. And so I don't necessarily do anything proactively on that end. It's more like I already had my artwork out and then they reach out being like, hey, you're a good fit for our brand, would you like to work with us? That's like the best case scenario and is less work on my part. However, this is not always the case. I would say that is a huge privilege to have, is other companies reaching out to you. It's also common to reach out to companies because they may not find your work or you're just not on their radar yet. So for example, there's actually been some companies where I reached out proactively first. So for example, Casetify is a company that I reached out to. How to reach out is actually quite simple. You can go into their support email or their info email. They might actually have a dedicated page where they ask content creators to message a specific email. So just do some digging and research around these companies and shoot your shot. Casetify is a company that actually got back to me quite quickly, but that's not true for every company. Some companies might take weeks, some might take months. Sometimes your first email doesn't get to them. And so maybe you email again in like 6 months or like a year when you have a better portfolio, or you just give them a friendly reminder, and that might be the email that they respond to. So I would say just keep trying, don't give up. Just because you don't hear anything doesn't mean it's a rejection. Sometimes they will right out reject you, and that's okay too, just move on. There's so many different companies out there that you can work with. I will say one thing to remember is that if you are reaching out, you are making a pitch. So make sure to introduce yourself, explain what your brand is about, share analytics and data for sure. So for example, like the number of people that you reach on your platform, the amount of money that you make per video, or the amount of sales that you make on your store. Suggest collaboration ideas. Definitely show them what you can bring to the table, and that could help entice them to work with you. In terms of how much to charge, I think this depends on what you might think your hourly rate is. This could also be based on experience. So for example, when I first started charging videos, I just set out a flat rate and companies would tell me whether it was too low or too high for them. And so over time, I started to see, oh, okay, so my videos on average make like this much money, or depending on the company size, I can actually charge more. So it really depends on like one, your reach, and then also how large this company is and if they even have a budget. What I'll do is negotiate, and I'm quite flexible. So for example, if I say like, hey, can you pay this flat rate, and that company can't afford me, I might negotiate and say, oh, okay, if you can't afford me, then can we actually do like a deal where you guys send multiple products or different kinds of products that I might request. It's quite flexible. I would say like it's not so black and white. Lomomo, the neon sign company, was quite easy to work with. Originally, they pitched to me to give a free product, and I countered by saying, can they also pay for a flat rate for video content? And then in the end, we published the neon sign, and there was a lot of reception, and so they ended up putting it on their website. And so putting it on their website means that they're buying the rights and license for my artwork, and I created a contract that states that they also will pay royalty to me quarterly for every sale that they make. And that's an additional term that we added after we started working together. So I think over time, as you build relationships with brands, this can also change how you get paid, how the benefits work between the two of you. Not every company is going to be willing to work with you. Lomomo was very kind and gracious to even consider paying me royalty and even looking over my contract. So this is a contract that I created over years of being a freelance, over years of working with other companies, and I've refined it to a point where I'm happy that this is something I can confidently give to companies for them to look over. It took us a couple days to refine the contract and then come to agreement, and so now we're at a point where the sign is sold on their store. You can check it out at lomomoneon.com. And at the end of this video, I also have a discount code if you're interested in even making your own sign, if you're a creator or artist. And with that, I can get into the unboxing of the neon sign and the step-by-step process into how I actually made the sign. If you guys have any other questions about sponsorships and collaborations, I feel like I very briefly went over it. This video wasn't intended to focus on that at all, so let me know if you have any other questions. I'm happy to answer them. Like, I feel like I can go much more detailed into how to set your rates, how to make a pitch, how to even make your portfolio, so on, so on. So yeah, with that, let's get into the neon sign. I guess you're cute. A couple weeks ago, I designed this sign for my office through the company Lomomo. They're a neon sign company. I forgot to film the unboxing for the long form video because I got so excited, so here's some clips from the short form videos. It's so giant. Okay, here are some things to consider when making your sign. Number one is size. Where will it be and how big will it be? This is the artwork that I started out with when I first sent it to them, and then this is their feedback that they sent back to me. The ghost's eyes wasn't going to be able to translate well just because every dot has to be converted into a circle instead because the nature of the neon lights being created using these light strips. So they have to wrap your design around using these light strips, and you can't just have a single dot. I ended up just removing the little ghost guy and replacing it with a persimmon instead, which is fine because I love persimmons. I also adjusted the sizing to be a bit bigger to accommodate for those circles, especially for the ... after the or else. The second thing to consider is the line weight of your illustration. Since I use a pretty consistent stroke for my artwork, I just sent them the artwork how I would normally draw it, which looks like this. But after seeing their mock-up, I realized that the light strip was actually thinner, and so they sent back a mock-up like this, and I didn't like how it changed my artwork. So I redid it to fit the correct line weight that would look right with the light strips, so it went from this to this. And that's really it. It's really easy to work with them, use their online templates. They even give you options for how you want to display it. If you want to drill it into the wall or if you want to hang it from the ceiling, they also provide those materials for you as well. When it came in the mail, I really didn't know what to expect, but my first reaction opening it was that the lines were so clean. I was really impressed. Oh, and the size. So I was gonna put it here, but it's literally so giant. Okay, the next best place is the living room. We actually have this shelf that we use to rotate the artwork, but the sign wasn't just gonna be stable leaning there, so we made it a whole project to put the sign up properly and even redid this part of the living room. I've been looking for ambient light in this corner of the house, and this sign really did it justice. The way Shippo got so comfortable so fast. We just cleaned this area, and yeah, he just settled, like right on the blanket. What do you think, Shippo? Do you like our new ambient light? It's pretty nice and very well lit. Like, we don't have any other lights on, but it looks like our place is pretty lit. So what is really nice about the wires is that you can choose where you want to plug it into the outlet. So these will all connect to the electric box, which we hid behind here. And it doesn't get super hot. It's just like a little bit, I would say like maybe kind of warm, so it won't burn anything, which is the nice thing. We decided to hook it up to this one, and it looks like this. It's just like a wire, and you can hook it to the power box, which goes into your outlet. And then these ones we ended up not really using, so we just hid it behind the prints. It's really simple to just plug and unplug this. There's also a remote, so you can choose how long you want it on and how bright you want it as well. I also can't wait to host parties because this corner, it's like such a vibe. It's such a chill spot, and it's such a cool sign. I'm really happy with how it came out. Oh, and the other thing I would recommend using it for is for events. So if I would make another sign, it'd probably be a smaller one so that I could bring it to events or even hang it in my office, which was what I originally wanted to do. But I feel like it was meant for this living room as well. Again, I'm super impressed with how accurate Lamomo made my artwork. They really captured the line art and the line quality of the neon sign. If you want to get this sign or even make your own, use my discount PECOR15 for 15% off. There's a link in the description. They do worldwide delivery. The battery doesn't overheat, which is really nice, so I was able to lean some of these artwork onto the battery itself and it doesn't burn anything. You can also design your own using their online tool. Definitely check them out. And thank you so much Lamomo for this partnership. Anyways, I hope you guys liked this video. Shippo and I thank you so much for watching the video, and let us know if you have any other questions. Give us a like, comment, and subscribe. Also, it's his birthday. Wish him a birthday. He's 3 years old.